Tavis Smiley is in town covering the DNC all week.
He's also releasing an updated version of his book, The Covenant with Black America, which debuted 20 years ago. He joins us live in studio to tell us more. Good morning.
Good to see
Sweet
ya.
home Chicago.
Right?
Yeah.
Man.
Larry, Robin, good to see you. How you both?
Good to see you.
Doing great.
You've
Doing
been
great.
here many times over the
yeah.
years. Is the African American community where you thought it would be 20 years ago?
We have made progress in some areas, but sadly, black people still lag far behind in every single leading economic indicator category. So it's been a yin and yang, and up and down in some respects. But economically, I said the other day, and I hate to say this, economically, black people are still 3/5 of a person. We know our founding documents were pro-slavery in their writing, and we were deemed as 3/5 of a human being. But economically speaking, we're still in that same category, given what we earn as compared to our white brothers and sisters.
Let's talk about how the African American community is being treated by both political parties, and if it's a little different this time around. I heard you talking to Micah Matera a few weeks ago on People to People, and you said the Democrats take black people for granted. Republicans tend to ignore black voters. So has that changed?
I don't think it's changed substantially, Robin. In this campaign, this election season, it is clear that black folk are at least in play. Now, whether you buy what the Republicans are selling is another issue. But at least there's an attempt to reach out to African-American voters. You all covered it. You saw that first night. It was like Negro night. It was black night, the first night of the convention, right? Black speaker after black speaker after black speaker on the very first night. I wondered how the white Republicans in the audience were feeling about all these black folk on stage the first night, because their agenda, I think, is antithetical to the best interests of black people. But clearly, black voters, Larry and Robin, are in play this time around. And that's a good thing.
Well, they're in play during election time.
Exactly.
So my question is, what does all this say, perhaps, if anything, about their representation?
Whose representation?
Representation, African Americans, representatives in Congress, or at the state level, or at the local level?
It says that not much has changed. Again, that the Republican Party has not gotten serious about an agenda that serves the best interest of African Americans. Now, on the other side, let's be clear, the Democrats are not nearly as progressive. I mean, I've been laughing at this talk that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are too progressive. Well, depends how you define progressive. First of all, that term, I am a progressive unapologetically, but that term has become such a pejorative these days. But when you define progressive as wanting child tax credits for children, when you define progressive as wanting free lunches for kids, when you define progressive as background checks, if that's too progressive for America, then we're all in trouble.
What do you see happening this week at the convention?
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to address?
It's a great question, Robin. I am looking for what is going to be said or done that's going to make Harris and Walz more competitive in these battleground states. You're seeing the same data that I'm seeing. So in the last few days, the Harris-Walz team has gained ground in these battleground states. But the question is, if they can't compete there, then it's over. There's no question Kamala is going to crush Donald Trump in the popular vote. We all know it's about the Electoral College. And so what happens here that helps them play better in Middle America, that's what I'm waiting to see.
Let me ask you a progressive question.
Sure.
Something else that happens during convention time is all the homeless people get rounded up and moved out. What does that say about us?
It says that America has grown older, but we haven't grown wiser. That we don't take the most vulnerable and their concerns as seriously as we ought. You mentioned the covenant earlier. There are 10 covenants in this book that came out 20 years ago. What wasn't in the book in terms of these 10 covenants 20 years ago was the issue of homelessness, because it wasn't as acute, particularly for African Americans 20 years ago as it is now. But in Chicago and LA, where I live, all across the country, we do this all the time. We sweep them away to make our cities look good. And I love Chicago, but we do this too often. But black people now are the face of homelessness in this country, African American males in particular. So an issue that wasn't even on the docket 20 years ago now is being written about in this new book, because we are the face of homelessness in this country.
Well, the book is called Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, and it's now available. Tavis going to be broadcasting from the United Center all week long. Thanks for being here, Tavis. Good to see you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thank you.